CustomDollBaby.com. Welcome back to another episode of Reborn with me. Well, I hope you had a good and restful weekend. Mine was a little crazy, so I am not superstitious at all. But Friday was Friday the 13th, and my computer died. My primary computer that I use for all of my web business just died. It wouldn't start. And I'm not a computer person, so I really didn't know what to do about it. And my supervisor stopped by and tried to fix it, and he doesn't know what to do about it either.
I fixed it, okay? It's all you now. Back to work. You.
So it was a little bit of an eventful weekend. Fortunately, I was able to back up the files that I really needed to function, and now I'm working off of a different machine. But yeah, it was a little hectic this weekend. But it's Monday morning, we're back on track, and we're ready to finish the blushing and the creasing on our Realborn Asher Awake doll kit. So as you recall from last week, we already did the generalized blushing layer where we warmed the skin overall. We did our accent blushing layer where we added rosiness to those cute spots like the elbows and knees and fingers and toes. Today we're going to top that off with the sweet spot blushing, which is just adding another blushing layer on top of those accent blushing areas to add extra cuteness and extra sweetness. So that's going to be a lot of fun. At the same time, we're going to wrap up the creases and add additional darkness where it's needed. Once the blushing's in place, you can really see that color contrast and decide if you need more color. So that's what we're working on today. Let's get started. Before we begin, I just wanted to give a shameless plug for one of the few items that I sell in my online store. So this is a covered palette by Nicole. As you recall, last week we spent a lot of time creating the perfect custom blushing color for the complexion of this doll. And even though it's had all weekend to dry out, because this has a fitted cover that comes with it, the paint's still wet. So that's going to save us a lot of time for not having to recreate that blushing color again. And we'll certainly probably want to dilute it because there is some evaporation of solvent, but this is going to save me a whole lot of work compared to, say, this palette, which I wasn't able to cover and the paint has completely dried. So covered palettes, they're really great for things that you have to build out in a lot of layers like blushing. Check them out in my online store. They're only a few dollars and they're going to save you a whole lot of hassle. For our sweet spot blushing, in addition to the blushing color, we're also going to need some sponges. I'm just going to reuse the same ones I was using last week because it's convenient and it still has a little bit of the paint in it. And we'll need a brush to apply the color. So just starting here with this leg. All right, it's the sweet spot, so you have to decide where you want that extra highlight, add your spot, and then use the sponge to work it in. Isn't that amazing? I just love seeing the sweet spots on areas like this. And the sponge allows you to blend it to a seamless finish. Let's do that again on the bottom of the foot, and I love to see a lot of rosiness down here on the feet, so I'm just going to dab a little bit on. We don't have to blend it like we did last week because that first layer is already taking care of the color gradient that we need, so now we can just pound some color right on top of what's already there. Oh my gosh, that is kissably cute. I like to add it to the heel and the big toe. Oh my goodness, so adorable. I told you I was going to get more weird as we went along. And I can use what little paint's left on my sponge to add that to the toes too. That is very sweet. Now if you're feeling like it's getting too pale in those creases, you can go ahead and use your creasing color to darken that area if you like. So I kept working on this foot, adding a little bit more to the top of the foot and really getting into those knuckles because I just think that's so adorable. And as you can see now, by contrast, this crease area is starting to look really pale. So that's no problem at all. We're just going to go back and make some more of our creasing color and work the paint into the creases. Okay, so I'm liking how this looks. Hopefully you can see it. It's kind of a fuchsia purple color. And you can keep tweaking it until you get it just the way you like it. I'm gonna get my liner brush and pick up a little bit of this paint and go right back to that foot, browsing the, where it was looking kind of pale. And I'm just gonna paint some of the creases right in here. Because now that all of our colors are getting more and more robust, the stuff we started with is starting to fade by comparison. So because I didn't blush this particular area, I can afford to paint my creases right on top of it all in the same session without having to bake and come back later. Use a dry brush to smear that around a little. Okay. And then where the blushing stops, maybe I want to see just a little bit in this area here. There. So now that section doesn't look so pale anymore. Okay, so I just finished doing the sweet spot blushing and re-creasing, if you will, on this foot. So the sweet spots that I wanted to highlight were here on the knuckles, this spot on the top of the foot, this spot on the kneecap. Added a little bit more to the calf, and a lot more to the bottom of the feet because that's just adorable. So if you're looking at this and you're thinking, oh, holy Christmas, that's really loud, or that's really, really red, that's okay. You can always blush according to your preference. You don't have to feel like you have to imitate what I'm doing. Part of the reason why I'm purposefully over blushing, if you will, is because if you've seen my sealing videos, you're actually going to lose a little bit of that color when you put the last sealing layer on the paint, or if you do any skin texturing. So I can afford to overdo it a little bit because I know once the seal it is on, it's going to really blend everything together for a more smooth and subtle consistency. So it's really up to your preference. This is the way I've chosen to do it. I think it looks really cute. So sweet spots on the face are a little more complex than on the limbs, because on the limbs, if you make it too red, it looks kind of cute. On the face, if it's too red, it looks kind of wrong. So what I'm gonna do is I actually started a separate well here. I put a little odorless paint thinner in it, and I'm just creating a more diluted color to use for the sweet spots on my face. And to test it before I put it somewhere important, I'm just gonna dab a little bit on the earlobe here, because that's an area that we can afford to make too red if that's what happens. Okay, so I just added the paint and I'm smearing it around with the sponge. And I think that looks really nice actually, so I'm gonna feel comfortable adding this to the sweet spots on the face. Sweet spots on the face include the cheeks, the chin, and the nose. If you put too much on the nose, your baby's gonna look a little like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. So I'm gonna exercise caution in that area. So I'm gonna put my spot right on the big part of the cheek here. And use my blush to, my sponge to blend it. Whew, it's Monday. Make sure to continue to follow the pattern or the contour of the rest of the face. So now we've got a little more rosiness on that cheek. I'm gonna add some to the other side so they match. And you can build color in this area, so if you put it down and you feel like it's still not red enough, you can just keep incrementally adding a little more until you get the color that you want. Put a little on the chin. I'm actually gonna smear that a little bit because this area between the cheeks and the chin is getting very pale in comparison. And in fact, I'm gonna use what little paint I still have on my sponge to go ahead and get the nose, so we don't want that to be too bright. I'm gonna get these eyelids too. That is looking good. Okay, I also just wanted to quickly show you how you can use your blushing color to add more dimension to the fingers. So this is actually the blushing color that we blush with. It's not any special creasing color. And I'm still gonna put it right down in those creases. And use my shader brush to blend it out. And on top of that purplish creasing layer that we already had down, this is just gorgeous when blended into it. Hopefully you can see I'm using the shader to blend the blushing color into and around the creases. And get a nice feathered finish. And you want your colors to be as smooth as possible. Sorry. Oh, see how pretty that is? And you can add that in as many layers as you like until it looks just right. I just finished working the creases and the sweet spots on this hand. I'm really pleased with how it turned out. I actually went back over the creases several times with both the blushing color and the purple creasing color to really get the depth that I wanted to see in each of these little bitty wrinkles. So I'm very happy with how that's looking. I also shaded these I don't know, these folds. They're not quite folds, but they're just little wrinkles in the skin that I like seeing some purple in that, which looks really nice. Added some sweet spot blushing to the elbow and decided to really go nuts on the color in the hand because we are kind of clenching here. So I just wanted that to be nice and bright and red for this little fist. So I'm very pleased with how that came out. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish working in all the creases and all of the sweet spot blushing. I'm going to cure that in the oven. I have a new wave oven that I cure at 60% power, which corresponds to 250 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm actually gonna do that for about 10 or 11 minutes, a little bit more time than usual because I do have the thinning medium in the creases and those mediums need a little bit more time to cure. So I'm gonna add some extra time to make sure the creases cure like they're supposed to. And then we'll come back and we'll start working our details. As always, thank you so much for tuning in. If you have any questions, please feel free to drop them in the comments or on the blog. And I look forward to hearing from you. And I look forward to seeing you next time with Reborn with me.